So, do you guys remember how way back when it was kind of implied that Lightning was going to have a really big role in the story? And then she, didn't?
Well, good news. For the low, low price of $4.99, you can maybe kind of pretend that that was actually true all along, while you play one fight over and over again. Trust me, it's really fun. Please believe me. Why won't you believe me?
So, yeah, this is Requiem of the Goddess, this is Lightning's story. And it's very strange as far as the DLC goes.
I'll give him this, it's novel.
Like, Snow's DLC is, a whole bunch of the Colosseum fights.
Some of which were legitimately interesting, gimmick-wise.
Right, and then Saw's, had the whole casino thing, and that thing, that honestly takes about, an hour or so to play through. You can get a good amount of time out of that.
And I have yet to meet anyone who doesn't earnestly like Chronobind.
Requiem of the Goddess is literally one fight over and over until you complete it to the game's satisfaction.
Yeah, and the game has some unreasonable expectations. It expects that you're... there is no way that anyone is going to do this the first time through, because it's so completely contrary to basically anything that this game might have taught you up to this point.
But we'll talk about that once we get there. For now, we have an epic fight scene between Caius and Lightning.
Yes, because we sure as hell haven't had enough of those. I also don't think they have a very good grasp of cinematic title timing. Also, Hey Lightning, remember when I died?
So yeah, if you should, for some reason, load up this DLC before finishing the game...
Which is totally a thing you can do.
Yeah. In fact, if you're playing on the console, it's the first thing you can do after leaving New Bodom. The game will just quite casually show you the end of the game.
Yeah... Of course, given all of the stupid things that Caius says during the game on the concept of how time works in Valhalla and how outside events appear from within, this seems oddly in keeping with traditional chronology and therefore a massive paradox. Nah, too easy.
Oh no, Lightning is dead.
Too easy.
Oh, see, that's what I said. Only he said it much better than I did. Wish I had one of those voices that can just make any line work.
Alright, so let's just now reflect on this. So, they were fighting in Valhalla, and then Lightning died, quote-unquote.
But does anyone ever actually fucking die in Valhalla?
Caius did, I guess?
We're gonna have to qualify that statement a bit.
But anyway, now that we have died, we are back at the Void Beyond. And we're totally okay now, just, incidentally. No consequences there for dying at all.
Insert obligatory "we got better" reference.
But oh wait, here's Sarah's soul being capped, or some bullshit, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to make any particularly good attempts to explain what the hell's going on here.
When the world
evidently the only sensible approach here is to then destroy time.
I don't know. If it'll shut Yule up, I'm okay. Oh.
She will melt into darkness, as we all will.
Well, that's not even a little bit unsettling.
You will share her fate.
So, what?
Let's end this.
Hi, Caius?
I won't let you.
I mean, I'm not even going to try to understand what they're even trying to suggest is actually happening.
Or was it reality?
But I suppose it's some manner of cyclical time thing,
I didn't know.
and
what
we
would
remember
happen.
every iteration, blah 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 blah.
Finally came.
A very JRPG thing.
I had none of the answers I needed, but I had no choice. All I could do was fight.
Also, I guess this is the point where the animation budget ran out.
This was the war that would decide the future.
Alright, Lightning, I guess if you say so.
Let's fight, I guess.
So, Lightning's doing pretty well for herself. She has, 20,000 HP. So, I think we got this.
Only has 4 ATBs though.
And we have some roles that are kind of like our usual paradigms, but not quite.
We have a feral link as well. So, what do we got?
Well, we'll talk about them a little bit, but the gist of it is that the Paladin is essentially a commando. There's no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Shaman is a physical mage. It uses the wind strike abilities. The Mage just flat out uses the Thunder line. And then the Knight has an ability, it's a Sentinel, but its ability is that it literally makes you invincible.
Huh.
I'm sorry.
Well, I can see how that might come in handy.
So yeah, that's how pretty much everybody's first run of Requiem goes. Because this fight is a little unreasonable. At least until you go through it a few times and figure out exactly what it is the game actually wants you to do.
There's an option here called set level.
Well, we haven't leveled up though, so we can't do that.
Well, that seems kind of silly then.
But yeah, we have a small smattering of abilities. As we get further in the DLC, it will actually, our abilities will increase, we'll get new roles, but for right now, this is kind of what we're stuck with. So we kind of have to make another suicide run to get some more CP so we can actually stand a chance.
So yeah, you're gonna fight this over and over and over again. And then by virtue of simply having died a lot, you will get better. Very JRPG. I'm not sure what I think of this music though.
Yeah, so Caius has 3 stances that he uses. Commando stance is where he does all of his damage. He'll fire off a couple Eye of Bahamut's to hit you with some debuffs, and then he will either use an Inferno or a Giga Graviton or something like that. That's his damage moves.
And all of those appear to do shit tons of damage. Or at least yeah.
Yeah, if you get hit with anything named while he's in commando stance, you are probably dead.
Although, apparently we can be invincible. Is this like an ability that you have to switch to the Sentinel one and then use it? Or is it like a passive?
Yes, that is her Sentinel ability as the Knight. It is just complete invincibility. Although she does get an extremely substantial defense increase regardless, so even if you can't quite get there, it's still worth doing.
So what this means basically is that it's like a block button with a cooldown, because the way that just the way that you can do you can get a full ATB when you paradigm shift, so you can just switch to it and then immediately hit auto battle. Which I guess is a pretty good segue to start talking about how this entire sequence is basically a giant prototype for Lightning Returns.
Yeah, because you'll notice that, we have these roles that are not quite paradigms, but they do very similar thing. Like, they do one thing, and that is all that they do, but they do it really well. And that is really the fundamental thing that Lightning Returns kind of went crazy with.
We also have two that do basically the same thing. Like, is there any real important difference between the two Ravager roles?
Not in this part of the fight. The only real difference is that one does physical damage and one does magic damage, and the element that they do them in. There will be a part later in the fight where he'll be resistant to either wind or electricity, and then you have to use the opposite roll.
So yeah, Lightning Returns is a game that literally has a time block mechanic. So I'm reasonably sure that at some point during all the development of, well, probably the development of 13-2, after they realised what they actually had managed to get right in 13, they sat there thinking about how this system is kind of sort of like an action game at times. At the times when it is like an action game are arguably the best times. Presumably that's when they had the ideas for what we start seeing in Lightning Returns. And probably, my theory is that this basically was a result of that. They wanted to see if they could make a interesting little sequence out of those ideas.
But yeah, so speaking of some of the... if we're going to talk about Lightning Returns a bit, some of the major similarities you're going to see is that you cannot heal in this particular DLC. Like, Lightning will... No matter how many times you level up, you will never get a medic roll.
Ah, yes.
You get one elixir at the start of the fight, and a couple potions which are basically useless.
But we level up.
Leveling up does pretty much exactly what you'd expect. You sometimes you get a few new moves, you get more HP, your stats go up, but it's generally not super important. Really, being able to read the fight and making use of that information is really what you have to do to clear this.
Yeah, needless to say, there's stuff going on in this fight.
Give me strength.
Alright, so here we have the Conjurer, which is your Synergist equivalent. And the ability we have right now is Mighty Guard, which gives you all the defensive ones. And the other ability that we can get for that gives you all the offensive ones, but you can only have one set or the other up at a time.
See, now that's a thing. That's actually interesting. And again, novel. Can't stress enough how important that last one is. So hey, he can heal, but we can't, huh?
Yup.
And hey, that's actually noticeable, his healing.
Well, that is how it tends to be when you have however many million HP Caius has.
Oh well.
Also, in a somewhat weird note, all of your, both of the Ravager abilities that you have, they all cause wound damage for some reason. That's one I never quite got, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see how that might be a thing in a different fight that had these exact same mechanics, but this is the only fight that has these mechanics, so I'm back to confusion. Oh well. You'd think staggering him would, cancel any benefits of whatever stance he was in.
Yeah, you would think, but unfortunately you do gotta work for it.
Oh well.
But no matter, that's Caius down.
He just sits there taking damage.
Oh, but of course it's never that easy.
It's not over yet!
Of course, that said, there is a bit of a gimmick to this fight too, because if you don't 5-star the first half of this Caius fight, it actually just stops right there. You can't go on to the second part.
That seems incredibly arbitrary.
And you're a fool if you don't think they're gonna do that for the second half too, by the way.
Oh, good.
So yeah, Bahamut is interesting, I guess? For the vast majority of the fight, he has that little, like, weird little aura around him, and as long as that aura is up, you actually do very, very little stagger, so you have to really, really work at it. But the trick is that every time he does an attack, for like a second or two afterwards, he'll lose that aura, and then you can do full stagger with your attacks.
Yeah, that's definitely them having an idea for lightning returns.
So essentially what the idea is, you want to immediately take the hit, and then swap into whichever of the two Ravager rolls is called for at the time, depending on whether he's in resist electricity or resist wind.
So yeah, this is definitely somebody thinking they're trying to find out, is it feasible for us to have a timing gimmick for attacks, as well as one for defense? Can we literally make a Final Fantasy action game with menus?
And you know, to be honest, the answer is kind of?
Yeah. I mean, you know, just Vanilla 13 was already a pretty good menu action game.
Like, honestly, I gotta give him credit. This is, like, when you actually reach the point where you know all the roles and you can flip around really quick, this is actually pretty fun to play.
Yeah, this whole thing has elements of that most elusive of qualities. Game design. This is an encounter with things going on, things you have to learn to feel, techniques you can use, strategies, tactics, approaches. You can get good at this in a sense that has absolutely nothing to do with playing it over and over again until your numbers go up. And what the hell is he doing?
Yeah, anytime after he uses Mega Flare or one of his other major attacks, he gets stuck like that for a while.
Kind of looked like it was in an animation glitch.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was at first too, but no, that is actually part of it.
Okay, so anyway, where was I? Yes, interesting. This fight is interesting, there's stuff going on, and you can get good at it, like legitimately good, like action game good. To the point where you can meaningfully say that you're better at this than someone else who has the same numbers that you do. And that's really not something that you can take away from something like this. So credit. It gets it. I approve of this content. I just wish we could have had a whole game like this. Hey, wait a minute. We can have a whole game of this. Wow, my mood just went up a lot.
Well, we're still waiting on that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like I said, you do have to 5-star this fight as well in order to get the full ending, but we came just shy there. So we unfortunately only get the normal ending of this fight.
Well, how batshit can this be? And how much can one person regret asking one question? And also, where the hell was he this whole time?
By what right do you demand her release?
Oh no! The chaos is getting Odin! What do we do?
Jumping might be in order.
Sarah's death is your doing.
Also, see what I did there.
I thought my actions would atone for my past. After washing off on the shores of
I don't see how this has anything to do with her past, or what she considers her actions to be beyond fighting a guy.
It was a waking nightmare. Lives beyond counting, swallowed by chaos, and vanishing into the void. Some of those souls had been enemies, dispatched to death's realm by my own hand.
Who talks like this?
It was a tragedy I couldn't ignore. My path was set. I would remain in Valhalla and carry out the will of the goddess.
No, seriously,
The souls
why?
of the dead
Why
would
are
be
we?
mine
Why
to
are we
bear.
here and doing this? What?
It
I
would
don't
be
see how any of the things that she
my
said just then
atonement.
had anything to do with the things that she said in the first half of this cutscene.
Yeah, it's just like there's like all of my sins and everything, and I will bear them, and you know I will serve the goddess. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything,
I was
Lightning?
thrown down by past sins.
Like, I'll say this for Ali Hillis. She is fully capable of continuing to speak and pretending that she has, like, that what she's saying makes total sense. Like, I don't think most people could do that. I guess that's why they call it acting.
To keep hope alive.
Lightning?
For me, there is nothing. There is no hope.
Sarah's death is your doing. At your bidding, she began her journey, and thus her life was lost.
Well, no, not really.
You are to blame for this doom.
This is a very interpretive reading of the events that we've seen.
Yeah, no, like, if anything, the fact that Sarah set out on the journey is... I guess you could maybe say arguably null, but it's definitely mostly Sarah's fault.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say Noel as well. Also, you know, Caius and Yule, and... Well, you know, let's be honest about this. We all know whose fault it is. It's fucking Etro's fault. It's always Etro's fault.
No matter what
Everything is
future
Etro's
waiting for
fault.
us, I'll have no regrets.
Etro fucked everything up magnificently.
No matter what end we see coming, I won't change my mind.
Again.
But Sarah is here to reassure Lightning that it's not her fault and she needs to be strong. Because she's okay with everything that's happened.
You taught me how to live my life.
Um,
No matter what, we shouldn't give up hope.
I'm not really sure how Lightning ever managed to teach Sarah very much of anything.
I believe in you. You'll keep the future of this world safe.
Especially if all of this learning is ostensibly
So it's
happened
okay.
post the beginning of Final Fantasy XIII.
Sarah!
I mean, again, the amount of time that Lightning and Sarah have actually
Not
been
at all.
together, conversing,
I chose to stop
since the
my
beginning
journey
of
because I
13
wanted
is
to see you
approximately
again.
1 minute
But there was a reason I
between when
decided to
everyone
keep
got
going.
uncrystalled and then when Etro decided to personally intervene in matters and then Lightning got swallowed into the void.
It's okay, Lightning.
I mean, there was presumably about... I don't think it's ever really stated how long, but it's like, it's kind of implied between like maybe like 5 and 10 years between when Lightning's parents died and she kind of like took over as the head of the household.
You know, that sure as hell wasn't the thing that was ever expounded on in any of the hours and hours and hours and hours of exposition in these 2 video games.
Everyone was so sure
But, you know, that would have required a writer.
that you were dead. But not me.
I totally lost track of what's going on and what any of it is supposed to
You were
mean.
alive somewhere, and I'd find you eventually.
Aww, look, they finally found each other.
Again,
Here we are. Just keep me in your thoughts,
seriously, what is with this?
and we'll see each other again.
Like, I feel like I should be deleting this video from my computer right now.
Vanish from this world. Promise me, Lightning. Promise you'll remember me.
Uh-huh, yeah. That happened.
Okay. Well, that was interesting. I think. I mean, from how they were all talking, it sounds like it must have been very interesting. I wouldn't actually know myself.
It sounded very emotional, I'm sure it was.
Maybe you just had to be there. So,
I'll never forget. I promised you that. Even if I stand to lose everything,
This is some very dramatic stair climbing.
I'll preserve your memory for the tomorrows yet to be. Come what may, I could breathe my last breath and the world be crumbling into oblivion. There are ways.
again, who speaks like this? Who even thinks like
and I know
this?
one that works for sure. Indestructible crystal. Even in the sea of chaos, it never loses its shine.
You know, except for that part where there was an entire pillar of it that got destroyed and brought Cocoon down.
Literally, it was actually eroded. Like, not even any magical bullshit, just actually physically eroded. By a giant fucking tomato.
And my atonement.
What are you atoning for? I don't understand!
My final hope.
I don't understand any of this, let alone this one thing.
These thoughts that live within my heart, they will endure the passing of eons.
So yeah,
They can
that's how
one day
lightning
be the
became
light
the
that
crystal
guides Sarah's soul.
thing that you see at the end of the credits. She talked to Sarah, who was
we
dead,
can
and
live
was
together,
like, I will remember you
one
forever,
time.
so I'm gonna turn into a crystal so that I can never die.
Well,
If by forever you mean about 500 years.
nothing left to wish for.
Shh.
Well, that was meaningful. I'm sure we can all be very happy at how much we've all accomplished.
Alright, well, so let's go back and let's do this properly.
Do we have a sixth role now?
Oh, we do. We have the, Sorcerer. That is your Saboteur, like.
I'm gonna guess there's two abilities that put two totally different and mutually exclusive sets of debuffs on the enemy.
Actually, it's just straight up like, okay, use this one ability and it inflicts like every fucking debuff under the sun.
Oh. I'm actually kind of disappointed.
Yeah, it's seriously, it's like De-Brave, De-Faith, De-Protect, De-Shell, and Curse, I think.
Alright then.
So yeah, now that we've 5-starred the fight, first and foremost, we get Lightning.
Cool.
That's how you get Commando Lightning for your party. But we also get this little cutscene after the
The gods'
credits.
tales are woven in crystal. The tale of Benevelza, the slumbering god, bearing witness to an eternal dream.
You remember when they named the thing after him and we had no idea who he was?
The goddess drowning in a sea of chaos. Etro bestowed upon humans a gift. Though unseen, that gift, it lies within us all.
Is it the soul or
constant
some
turmoil
shit?
Of light and darkness.
Bet it's a soul.
Strength and frailty. Beauty and unsightliness. That gift is our spirit.
Close enough.
Yeah.
It gives us the strength
Equally meaningless in
to
fiction.
persevere in hardships. But at times, it is nothing but a curse, straying beyond our control, causing us pain and sorrow.
It's actually astounding how meaningfully she manages to talk while saying
It is
nothing
something far
of
too
note.
precious to lose. It is what allows me to hold hope for the future. In a world consumed by chaos, in a world where spirits are fading, I ask myself, have I the strength to embrace my gift?
What?
For now, I sleep, my dreams, everlasting. It is here that I await the end of eternity.
And here we see Lightning in
I
the
awaken
location not appearing
once
in
again.
Lightning Returns.
Great. Well, that was something, I guess.
Yeah. That was certainly something. And you know what? That's an LP.
Sure as hell was. I guess we'll see all you guys in a as yet indeterminate amount of time when Square finally gets around to releasing the fucking PC port of Lightning Returns.
Yeah, could be a bit. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Laters.